We're going live. My mom is showing off her new birthday hairdo. Looking good, Mama.
And you.
Oh, yes. So we both had, well, first of all, welcome, you guys. This is a very, very special show because my mummy is here, the most amazing woman in my world. And it's her birthday today, too. So I thought, why not start it out right? Hey, Mom?
Sure.
We're going to pop this. Let's see here. Let's see if I can do this under pressure. You know what? It's so funny. I said to my mom, even though she's my mom, and I always feel the best with my mama, I was feeling a little bit nervous about today, but I think it's the pressure of opening the champagne live. Thanks, Donna, for the happy birthday to my mom.
Thank you.
Donna Smith, Major Mom. She is actually watching from Newfoundland.
Oh, wow.
And Donna's the one who had the amazing Kiss the Cod photo.
Oh.
Which I still have to show you. Donna, if you can, I don't know if you can do that on here, but if you can comment with your photo of you kissing the cod, that would be awesome. And then my mom and I are going to share a story with you about our Kiss the Cod experience. Okay, everybody, here we go.
Yay! Bravo!
Bravo! And it didn't, oh, look at that, Mom. It didn't overflow.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. So we have a funny story as well about bubbles. My dad was a winemaker, very good at. He did it as a hobby, but he was amazing at it. And my mom and dad had just bought one of those soda streamer. We call it the Sprudel machine because it's German is soda
not
water.
So much I have to drive home.
Yeah. Soda water in German is Sprudelwasser. So anyway, my dad had made this lovely Sauvignon Blanc. And we decided, I said to my dad, hey, Dad, let's see if we can make champagne out of this. And we put it in that machine. And the thing went, there was like Sauvignon Blanc on the ceiling, all over the counters. It was everywhere. But he was very proud that we tried it. So cheers to you, cheers. Mom. Cheers to Dad.
Yes,
cheers to all the good
Dad.
stuff in our life. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers. Oh, it's after 12, yes.
It's after 12, yeah. It's after 1 now. So getting back to Newfoundland, we're going to talk about, I'm going to be interviewing my mom, of course, but because Donna is watching now from Newfoundland, I just have to share with you. So Mom and I, what year was that when we went? I think it was 2013. It was shortly after my dad had passed away, and my mom was coming with me on all of my business trips with glamjulz because I was doing pretty, long trips throughout North America. And she was the best company. And we decided one night in Newfoundland. So this is the other thing with my mom. At the time, my mom's in her mid-70s. And I'm telling her, Mom, we got to kiss the cod. And the only time we can do it is at 11:30 tonight. And we got to go to this bar. And we got to walk down this alley. And she goes, okay, sure. Yeah, let's do that. So we went. She's always up for anything. And we had such a nice time, but then we were very disappointed because they didn't have a cod at this particular bar, and we had to remember it was that puffin.
It was a little toy puffin.
Yeah,
and you had to kiss the back side of it. Remember? But we got our certificate.
Yeah,
right? We've got that.
Yep. We do, but it wasn't what Donna did. So no. I really hope I'm going to get that picture from Donna to show everybody. So, Mama, happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
And this is exciting. I'm so happy you said yes because I know you were. Well, it took a little bit of convincing.
Yeah, it did.
But then we also remembered that it's your birthday, number one. So who else do I want to talk to? And number two, you did take drama in high school, so you are. Yeah.
I'm
a good performer. And my mom, I think my brother and I, we both get our artistic talent from you. You have,
but Dad had, I think it was his mother who was the artist.
Yeah, that's true. There's
his grandmother. It was his grandmother who was the artist.
Okay.
And we have I have the two pictures hanging in my condo.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. No, there's a lot of creativity and art in the family, and Eric is so creative, and his son, your grandson, he is very talented. So yeah, we come from a fine lineage. So, Mommy, tell me, when you were a little girl, little Karin, let's go back really far, first of all.
Oh, my goodness.
So, what was going on in your world on September the 1st, 1939?
Well, Hitler marched into Poland and started World War II.
Yes.
Which is not very memorable, but, and of course, I was born in the afternoon.
What time were you born? Do you remember?
4:05.
4:05.
Oma said there was a big clock hanging in her room, and she could see it was 4:05.
Wow.
p.m.
Okay, 4:05 p.m. And then, so from there you were born.
Yeah.
And then there was all this stress with the war.
Oh, yeah. So at one point, a nurse came to my mom's room and said, okay, you take the blanket and I'll take the baby. And my mom said, no way are you taking the baby. I'm going to carry the baby. I've already been down there 3 times. And the bomb shelter, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, she wasn't going to give me up.
No way. And that was Oma. She didn't take any guff from anybody. Yeah. So, Mom, I just have to check in. Somebody just said, oh my God, I lost the sound. Can you guys hear us okay? I just want to make sure everybody, if somebody can just let us know that the sound is good and you can hear us, that would be great. It's nice to have people watching because they can they can tell you things. I think we're okay. Huh. Sorry, you guys. Okay. Oh, good. Okay, Sarah can hear us.
Oh, good.
Thanks, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
We love you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's great. And Sharon can hear us. Sharon is the lady who was just here, getting her advent calendar.
Oh,
in her
good.
sexy
Enjoy
new
your
bug.
Advent calendar.
Yeah, I showed my mom your car.
Yes, beautiful.
So, okay, so that was very, very stressful because Oma is basically just having given birth.
Yeah.
Where's Opa at this time?
Well, actually, he was still at home.
He was? Okay.
Yeah. Because they lived in Bremen in Germany. I was born in Bremen. Yeah.
So he was still at home. So that's
good.
Good. Yeah, that was back.
He wasn't drafted until, I think, shortly before my brother was born.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's so. You know what? We're going to kind of go all over the place because
sure, let's do that.
I think this is a really great segue into what happened in our family recently, which was quite a miracle. So we had my mom was moving from our house, which we had for 49 years, and decided to downsize to a condo. And we were helping my mom pack up some boxes, my husband and I. And he came across a box and it said Oma's documents on it. And so he showed it to my mom, and my mom said, you know what, those are old receipts from my mother, and
you can probably
just shred that stuff. And he said, why don't I just take a quick look through?
Yeah.
Did he take it home? Or it was right there?
Right there in the basement.
So he wanted to take a quick look through, make sure there wasn't anything important in there. And what did he find, Mom?
And he said, I think these are love letters. It says Liebe, Liebe. They're all over the place. So I looked at them, and they were letters that my parents wrote to each other. My father came to Canada in October 53, and we came in February 54. So there was this time where they had to, my mother had to get rid of all the stuff, and she was asking my father for advice. And every letter that he wrote, and she wrote too, it said all the best and 1,000 kisses. Every letter said that. So Monica said, Mom, you've got to write all this down, and you've got to call the book 1,000 kisses. So we did that. We publish a little booklet, and we send it off to all the family who would have been able to relate to this.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so when I say that our family is creative, and my brother's also creative, my brother's a graphic designer, so he did the whole book, and it's so nice.
Layout.
The whole layout, it's beautiful. And so now all of the members of our family have this book with these beautiful letters, and one thing you gave me, which I loved, I read the whole book through, and there was something in the book where Oma was selling clothespins to just make some extra money. See, side hustle. And my Opa had written to her, don't sell any more of those, because the people I'm living with in Canada, they don't have any clothespins here. And so
they were colorful plastic ones.
So modern, like Germany, They weren't those wooden ones. So it was like red and yellow and blue. So my mom had a couple of them, and she gave them to me recently. So I use that as my bookmark in the book.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So very, very special. But Mom, tell us what you wanted to be when you grew up.
Well, I wanted to be a doctor. I don't even remember why, just maybe because I had such a nice doctor, and he took such good care of me, and he would even come, what was for me, in the middle of the night if there was something wrong. But it didn't happen. I ended up being a lab technician. That was as close to medicine as I really wanted to be, because I met this really handsome guy, and he was so nice, and I thought, one day I'd like to marry him. And so I didn't want to tie up my time with the university if I was going to marry this gorgeous guy.
Yep.
And you know who that was?
I do. The most handsome man who ever lived.
Yeah. Well, no, it wasn't just his looks.
No, it wasn't.
He was a wonderful person.
He was. And he was so funny because he didn't use it, but he knew he was handsome.
Yeah.
And he had all this charm, my dad. And I remember when he was in the hospital and he had cancer, and it was a very sad time, but we had some really funny moments during that time. And there was one night I went to the Jervinsky Cancer Center to give him a shave because he was growing it. And so first of all, he'd start the shave with, please don't cut me, which is like a great way to make a person nervous when you're trying to shave them. So anyway, we'd do the shave, and then he would say, Moni, get that little mirror. Bring the mirror over. And I thought he wanted to look to make sure I'd got all the spots, but he said, look at me. Look how, even with cancer, look how handsome I am. And I just gave him the biggest kiss. I was like, you're the best, Dad. Yeah. But yeah, he was amazing, Mom. So we've talked about what you wanted to be when you grew up.
Mm-hmm.
Now tell us a little bit about how you took the boat over from Deutschland to Canada. Mm-hmm. How old were you?
14 and a half.
14 and a half. Okay. Yeah. Imagine that.
My brother was 3 years younger.
So. Right. So he was 11. Yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, so you
it was in February. It was in February, and the sea was rough, and they kept telling us to go to the upper deck so we won't get sick, but the upper deck was so bloody cold. So, anyways, I'm proud to say I didn't get sick.
That's great. Yeah, I can't even believe that people would travel at that time of year.
Well, they had no choice.
Yeah,
right?
But that must have been bitterly cold.
Yeah,
crossing the ocean.
It was.
Yeah, and then where did you dock when you finally got over?
What do you call it? Dock 21 in Halifax.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually went back there a few years ago, and I got all choked up.
Oh.
Because I found the ship that we came on. Yeah.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
And did you also find, you know how they have where the family signs, like the records?
Yeah, but we didn't have any signatures there. But yeah. Actually, the names of the people were all over the wall.
Oh,
yeah,
amazing.
It was quite a nice museum.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, how did you guys get to OPA? You had to take a train to Toronto, or?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. We took a train, and he met us at Union Station.
Oh, and what do you remember what it was like when? Because how long had you been apart?
Well,
then?
that was only about 4 months.
Okay,
It
it was
wasn't
a
that-
few
it
months.
was-
It wasn't
It
like
was the other trip that we took, because we lived in a part that is now Polish in Silesia,
Mhm.
and there it took us 10 days to get from a point in Poland to Germany, and that's when that's where my father, your opa, picked us up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the first thing he looked at, he put me up on a chair. I was 10 years old then. Put me up on a chair and into the light, and he said, yes, you still have that scar.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
I must
you got the
have
little
I've
scar
fallen sometime and hurt myself. Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah. So
Wow. What
it
was
was
it?
it wasn't easy, but then nobody else was we were all in the same boat, just like with the present situation. It isn't so bad because who are you going to complain to? Everybody's in the same boat.
Everybody's going through
And
it
there's
together.
a saying now, we may all be in the same storm, but we're not in the same boat. And that's very true too.
That's very
because
true.
everybody's life is different. Things affect you differently, and
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
So what was that day at Union Station like when you saw your dad coming through the crowds?
Yeah, it was great. And then just it was a whole new world. It was so different from going from Poland to Germany, because that's Middle Europe. I mean, things are almost the same, and everybody was in in this post-war time, and but here it was so different. I mean, we went into a grocery store and we just couldn't believe all the things that you could have. It was quite something.
Wow. And then
and then of course I thought that I'm the oldest, so now when we had to we're live, right?
We're live. It's okay. That's why anything goes when you're live.
So we had to borrow money from the World Council of Churches to sponsor us to come over, but we had to pay it back as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. So I imagined, well, I'm the oldest one, so I'm going to have to go out to work. I'm getting all ready to thinking I'm going to have to find a job. My parents said, nothing doing, you're going back to school. So I ended up in the Earl Grey Senior Public School on Jones.
In Toronto.
Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah.
And you had a really special teacher there,
Yes, Miss Calhoun. She was wonderful. She kept me after school and taught me English. And then, of course, I arrived in February. In June, the school year was over. So by that time, she felt she taught me enough for me to take part in a test. So the whole class had this test, and I had to write it too. And she said, she gave me back the paper, and she said, well, you answered two of the questions, and they were 80% right. And that was such an encouraging thing for her to point out the good things, not all the other questions that I didn't even understand and I couldn't even answer.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Good schooling.
Yeah. But then I also got a job with a lawyer's family who had a cottage on an island, and they had 3 children. So I learned English with those children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Buddy Holly also personally taught you some English too, didn't he?
Buddy Holly.
You said you learned English from the hit songs on the radio too.
Oh yeah. I
was just trying to make it sound like all my mom's good friends.
Yeah. So of course I needed to know what all these hit songs, what what they meant. So I soon learned that.
Yeah, yeah. And so when you were a mother's helper,
Mhm.
how many years did you do that?
3 summers.
3 summers,
Mhm.
right? And how many kids were there?
Well, the first year it was 3, the next year it was 4, and I think the next year it was still 4, but the lady was pregnant.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Mhm.
And whereabouts was that, Mom? That you did that? They had a
Close
cottage.
to Gananoque.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was your first feeling of
Yeah.
up north, and
Yeah, and I had to take the train, and they met me at the train station, and then they took me to the island on a boat, and they gave me this big bullhorn. And if they ever went to visit some other people on the other islands, they said, now if there's anything wrong, you blow into this thing, but don't blow into it now, or you'll get all the neighbors coming. And it was so awful to see this thing lying there, and you couldn't do it. If she hadn't said don't blow into it, it would have never occurred to me.
it was tempting.
It was so tempting. Yeah.
And they had a son who had like issues, right, with his temper, like a little guy. Didn't he have?
It wasn't issues.
No.
Not issues with his temper. I can't remember what it was, but
didn't he have a tree that he would go to?
That little boy.
Yeah, this is a good story about.
He didn't have issues.
Okay.
He just his mom would tell him, there was a crying tree, and if he wanted to throw a tantrum, he had to go to the crying tree and do it there.
That's
right.
what I remember. Yeah, that's so great.
Yeah.
Wow. And then came high school. So I love your high school stories because it really shows how much we've progressed as women. Like when I did home ec, the guys and the girls learned the same thing. There was some weird stuff. Like I remember when I was at Blakelock, it was like a family studies home ec class combined. And we had this horrible book. It was for sex education, which they didn't really teach you the nitty gritty. And they had this horrible book. And what it would say was, it was trying to teach people about genetics. So it would say, here are some fascinating things. And it had these terrible little cartoon drawings. And it said, 2 ugly people can have a beautiful child. A beautiful woman and an ugly man can have an ugly child. An ugly man and a beautiful woman can have, and it was like it was the worst, terrible stuff. But so, I mean, we've come a long way since then, but listen to what my mom had to do.
Yeah, so we had home ec too. And I think it was at the end of the school year, the girls were supposed to make lunch for the boys. So I think it was potato salad on a bed of lettuce. And when they finished the lunch and everything, the teacher complimented the girls on how nicely they made the lunch. And she said, she said to the boys, I'm surprised how many of you didn't eat the lettuce. And I'm thinking, letters? What kind of letters? I didn't know the word for salat.
Oh,
right?
salat, yeah, exactly. Lettuce makes no sense. Or let us.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But then eventually, many years later, I ended up teaching English as a second language in the workplace where I was working. So I had sympathy with the people I was trying to teach.
You knew what it felt like.
Yeah.
Oh, so what do those boys do for you if you made them these beautiful?
Nothing.
They just sit there and eat. And they get but you're doing the class. They're just guests in the class. They're not taking it as well.
No. They were invited for lunch by us girls.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Wow. So high school was good. You went to Riverdale Collegiate.
Yes.
And Riverdale Collegiate. So when we were growing up, I mean, my mom loved the Archie comics before I came along. And I grew up with Archie comics. And the whole Riverdale thing was fascinating to me. And I would always say, Mom, did you go to like high school with an Archie? And was there a big moose? Was there a Jughead? Was there? And you'd always say, well, there was a guy named Archie, but he kind of looked like Big Moose. And you'd always try to like somehow,
Yeah.
have a tie-in. But
Yeah.
yeah. And that's great. And you've actually kept in touch with your high school. Like, you were pretty progressive, Mom, because I think it was back in the 90s when classmates.com first started.
No, it was.
Or was it later, early 2000s, or?
It was in the early 2000s.
Okay.
Somebody at work told me about it, and so I went on that site, and we were preparing for a 100th anniversary reunion in 2007. So I found this site, and you could contact people. You had to pay a membership, but you could contact people and tell them about the reunion, and that way we got a lot of people together to come to it.
Yeah,
and it was a lot of fun.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I remember when you and Dad went. It was pretty. The lead up to it was so exciting.
Yeah, and I had a friend come from Paris.
Yeah.
And she stayed. Well, I kind of met her online preparing for this reunion, and I liked it because she wrote to me, so did your parents schlep you across the ocean just like my mom did? And she pretty well had the same past as I did, so we got along well, and I had her stay at our house when she came.
Oh,
yeah,
that's so great.
Yeah, people came from all over the world.
Yeah,
from Hong Kong, from China, everywhere.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's amazing. So my mom also, for all you entrepreneurs out there, my mom is such a hard worker. So for pretty much most of her life, she's always had a full-time job. She was a lab technician. She worked in several hospitals. Do we want to tell them about your boss /
Well, he was he became my obstetrician when the time came.
So I was born at the
right? He was an obstetrician.
Right. So I was born in 1969 at the Wellesley Hospital in Toronto, and my mom worked for a guy who was a doctor who was an obstetrician, and when she got pregnant with me, he delivered me. That's what you did. Now, I think I would be kind of freaked out by that, but this is like 1969. He's the guy that does the job, so that's what happens. But when I was born, he had a bet with the nurses that I would be a boy. And then when I came out of the womb, the first words I heard, I guess, when I came out was, "Oh, what did he say? Oh, shucks, it's a girl."
Well, actually,
because he lost his bet. So there you go. Yeah. You wouldn't be able to say that now. No, oh, shucks, it's a girl.
What a sexist remark.
What a sexist remark. That's what I knew. That was the first thing I heard, and I said, this will not be tolerated. I was already learning lessons. Yeah. So, so now we need to go back to your side hustle stuff. So you met Dad. Mm-hmm. You met him through the German youth group, like a
German
church
Lutheran
group.
youth. Yeah.
Youth group. Yeah. And you guys had your first kiss in Bob Cajun under a starry night.
Yeah, and he told me he had a sister who wants to improve her German, and she's looking for a pen pal. So, of course, I said, I volunteered right away.
You had to get in there. You're like, I'm going to marry this guy. I'm going to be pen pal with the sister. Oh, that's so nice. And your first dance, Mom, was also very Canadian, wasn't it?
Yeah, Canadian Sunset.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you know my
See,
past better
I remember
than I do.
all these romantic things. I'm not good with the history, but I remember the romance. Eric's better with history. So. Yeah. Yeah. So you guys that's so nice. You had your first kiss, you had your first dance, and then
we have to say that it was an outing that the youth group did. We had one one cabin for the girls and one cabin for the boys and another cabin where we had the dances.
Right.
And it was,
Yeah. Oh, that's so nice. Yeah. So then
Yeah.
Dad finally proposed after how many years?
4 years.
Yeah.
That's nothing today, but back then, my goodness, you got if you didn't get married within 2 years, you might as well give up.
That's right. And I loved what you said to Dad to push things along. You'll share that with the people.
Oh, well, my brother was planning to go to California.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, Peter's going to California, and, I'm thinking of maybe going somewhere else too. I need to get away from home. And then he goes, oh, what about us? I said, what about us? And then I thought we'd get married. And that's the first I heard after 3.5 years. And then we got engaged, and I went to Europe to meet his parents and to hitchhike through Europe with his sister, who wanted to learn more English than she had. Yeah. And then I came back and I got married.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. And my Oma, Dad's mom, made your beautiful wedding dress, right?
Yeah.
She did. So nice. Yeah. So you guys got married. That I know we're jumping around a lot, but I keep thinking of it. Things are triggering as you're talking.
Okay.
Yeah. So then the very first side hustle thing I know about with you that you started was making paper flowers.
That was before you were born.
That's before I was born, but that was your first on the side kind of thing that you created yourself, right?
Yeah, I guess back then maybe paper flowers were in fashion or something. Yeah. Anyways, and I was making so many of them, I just couldn't stop. So I decided I would sell them, and up at the cottage where we were, we knew the people in town quite well. So I went to the owner of this little piece of land between two buildings, and it was just big enough to fit a table on there. So I went to them and I asked if I could use those every Saturday for the rest of the summer. And they said, yeah, sure. So I put up my stand there, and I had all these flowers and all different sizes, great big sunflowers and tiny little other kinds of flowers.
Yeah.
And I made a little bit of money.
Yeah, it was great. And we have a beautiful picture somewhere. We got to find my mom in Port Carling selling her flowers. Yeah. And then years later, I sold jewelry in the same spot. And I was like, hey, Mom, look where I am. Yeah. So great. So, Mom, what kind of inspired you? Because you had the flowers, and then you did decoupage when we were kids.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you did that. And then you sold Avon, and I still remember the little tiny lipsticks. Those were the best. Cute. Oh, my God. So Avon was like a big part of our life. We grew up with Avon. And then you started doing income tax preparation. You worked first part-time for H&R Block, and then you took it on as your own business, and you did that. Yeah. You taught German school.
Oh, yeah.
You taught English as a second language.
Yeah.
You've always done something.
Yeah.
And I just wondered,
did you feel neglected?
No, I felt inspired. I didn't feel neglected.
Okay,
I mean, there were times where I felt like, I want my mommy to be home.
I want mommy to come home.
No, I always felt like, wow, this is really cool, because I think it was, and also with Dad making wine, it was like you guys were always busy. Like you came home, we had dinner together, but then there was people were doing things. And I like that, because you were never like, get the hell out of here, I'm doing something right now. No. You would include us, we could sit with you and watch, or you'd explain things to us. So I still remember for Dad, Eric and I having to mush up bananas for him when he was doing some of his experimental stuff. That was so gross. To mush the bananas in that
banana wine
sack. Ugh. And the fermenting smell. Yeah. But no, I never felt that way at all. I always felt like this is, Oh, okay. But what kind of what made you do that instead of sit on your butt and watch TV all night? You know, because you could have done that too. I know we only had a black and white TV, so maybe it wasn't that exciting. But
no, I mean, we watched a bit of TV too. But
yeah.
I don't know. Like even now, I had to get my eyes examined in this place in
Brunt.
No, it was between near Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
And there were all these young people running around and, you know, in their dark clothes and with the masks, but they were obviously doing eye examinations. And I'm thinking, wow, that's an interesting job. I should have tried that when I was young. And I was always eager to try something new.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. And did you also see, like, coming from Germany to Canada and also having lived through the hardship of the war and like lining up, you know, I remember stories more about Dad than you, but lining up for oranges for hours and then getting to the top of the lineup and there's no oranges.
Yeah.
Like all of this sort of thing.
Even bread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's like you come to a country like Canada. Did you almost feel so full where you thought there's opportunity everywhere I look? There's opportunity.
Yeah.
And there's not enough time to do it all.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. So we want to do the big reveal now on what my mom's working on right now, which I think is so amazing, Mom. So with the continuation of the love letters found between my grandparents, my mom also came across finely typed pages and pages of her trip to Europe and Africa and the Soviet Union with my father.
Well, you're really jumping around the map.
I'm really jumping around now. Now we're going back to 1967.
Okay. Yeah. So, since I had traveled hitchhiked through Europe with my husband's sister, I came back and I said, all these things I saw, we've got to see them together. So right away we started saving our money. We had I was selling handbags at Eaton's, and Dad
I gotta write this down. Another job.
And Dad was delivering lobsters.
Yes.
From a place called Red Lobster, and apparently the guy sold that name to the Red Lobster people. Yeah.
Okay.
And so we were trying to get extra money.
Can we tell the story about Dad delivering the lobster when you tell the story. When he wouldn't have the right change? Remember?
Oh. No. So, well, it was, if it was obviously a couple that
a romantic evening at a hotel, maybe
at a hotel, and and the guy would pay with a big bill, and then Dad would say, "Oh, geez, American money. That's what it was.
Oh,
American. Oh, well, I don't know what the exchange rate is. Could I please come in and inquire about and phone my office to find out, what the exchange rate is?" And the guy would go, "Just keep the change, go away."
Because Dad was more handsome than the guy who answered the door too, probably.
I don't know.
He may have been a threat to his date.
Maybe.
Oh, that's what, so. Yeah, you guys were really saving up.
So then we went. We went to Europe, and back then it was called the Soviet Union, and Poland, and Czechoslovakia, and then down to the what do you call it? Syria, Lebanon.
Yeah.
We couldn't go into Israel because you couldn't enter Israel with a foreign stamp like a Syrian or a Lebanese stamp. So then we had to have. Oh yeah, and we picked up. First of all, I'm jumping.
Yeah, I was going to say, how did you travel through the country?
We picked up a Volvo in Sweden, a Volvo station wagon, and then of course in the warmer climes we slept in the car, and that was quite adventurous.
Yeah. So they bought this car not online.
From the factory.
From the factory. And you have, because I think we still have the like the paper that you guys had from Volvo where you could pick your color and all that. So yeah, you ordered it from Sweden and picked it up in Sweden. Do you remember how much that car was?
I think it was $2,650.
Yeah.
And then it was $600 for the duty to bring it into the country. So we had a car for like $3,300.
Wow.
But I mean, back then it was not a lot of money, but we saved a lot of money.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. I still remember that car because we had it when we were really little. And then when it was hot, your butt would stick to the seats, remember? Yeah.
But we used to go swimming to the Centennial Pool in that, remember?
Yeah, we used to do that. We used to go to drive-in movies in that. Yeah, us and like all the kids. And then we had these friends. My mom made the most delicious popsicles when we were kids. They were like Jell-O pops with fruit juice in them. They were so yummy. And anyway, your friend at the time, I don't know what she was thinking. Remember she made milk popsicles for a healthy option? No. Yeah, you had the best popsicles. Yeah. So you did that trip, and then you decided to. So getting back to the project, we got to get back to the project.
Okay.
My mom had documented the whole trip. So what we think happened is probably, Mom, you journaled through your trip.
Yeah. And
then you came home and you got the typewriter out and you typed it in the finest, tiniest print available. Yeah. Double-sided. How many pages?
35. And then there were still letters that went from Oma to me and vice versa.
Right.
And so my dear daughter just begged me to pull them all together and make a story out of it. So that's what I'm doing now in COVID.
This is going to be a feature film, and if your grandson's watching, this is going to be his future here. He can do the feature film on his own.
You know, it keeps me busy and it keeps me sane in this crazy time. So
yeah, it was so funny. I said to my mom the other day, I said, "Do you ever just want to socialize, go outside, meet some people, sit around?" And she goes, "Why would I do that, dear, when I can be in a Volvo in the Soviet Union with your father?" Right? Yeah. Oh, I think it's great that
you know this. There's one very strange occurrence, like a coincidence. Just recently, I was I'm translating it all from German, right? Because for some reason I was writing in German to my mother, and I was talking about Lebanon and Beirut, and that's when the explosion happened in Beirut.
Wow.
You know, I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. It is. That stuff is just amazing. Like when these things kind of, this morning I had that, but it wasn't as phenomenal as that, where I was thinking about a woman in Florida with a business who I'd like to interview, who I haven't talked to in ages. Haven't seen anything in her Instagram feed. I'm thinking about her, and her name came up, right? Mm-hmm. It's nice when those things all kind of align. Yeah. If you feel, that's a tragic thing that happened. But yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so.
Oh, Mommy. So then you came home and had a baby?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And then you had another baby?
And then I had another baby.
Yeah.
And then they grew up. And look at her.
Yeah, and then in 2012 we lost my dad, and that was really, really hard, and a lot of you guys were amazing and so supportive during that time. And my mom and I really my mom came with me on all of my trips and was there for me. And
you were there for me. That was the most wonderful distraction.
Yeah. And then I thank you. And then I said to my mom, you're used to going with Dad to Florida every year, and I'm pretty sure I could do some business down there. And I had already been there with my mom and Dad once. I kind of invited myself and crashed their party. And so I'd made some connections, and my mom and I continued to go, and we have some great friends there, and yeah. So we really, I mean, I think the traveling has been important for both of us, and I'm so happy that I was raised by two parents who believed in travel. And when I said, I don't want to go to university, you said, well, then you're going to see the world and we're not paying for it. So get a job and get out there and go see the world. Right. So that taught me a lot. I think the gift of that too, Mom, is that I always felt like all I need is a bag on my back. Mm-hmm. I don't need stuff. Yeah. Because when you see the world and you meet people and you gain compassion and you just see things that you don't see here in North America. Yeah.
And remember too that the one thing that my husband and I always wanted to do is we wanted them to travel. And there was this annual event in Toronto called the Caravan. So every year we took them with us, and they thought it was really neat to get a passport and get a stamp in it. They couldn't get enough stamps and everything. Yeah. So, and you'd go to these different pavilions that, each country had their own pavilion, and you'd taste their food, and you'd go and watch their displays and dancing and everything. It was really I think that's what helped with the travel bug too.
Yeah, definitely. And it taught us a lot. Like I'll never forget. So my mom and dad, for their honeymoon, they went to Jamaica, and I remember when we went to this caravan and you took us to the Jamaican pavilion and you really wanted us to get a sense of that culture. And you said, and by the way, there was no reggae music when we were there. It was calypso, right? Reggae came later. Yeah. And anyway, I think Eric and I were like maybe 9 and 11 around there. And I bought with my, maybe a bit older, because I had some babysitting money, and I heard they were playing Bob Marley in that pavilion, and I bought my first album, which was Uprising by Bob Marley. And then, I had these two Jamaican schoolmates, and I didn't know anything about their culture. Like, they were just, my friends. And after that, I was like, oh my God, you guys are amazing. Like, I was really, it really helped to understand your friends, because Oakville was still pretty white, but it was also quite multicultural. Like we did have people, there were a lot of immigrant families in Oakville at the time, and a lot of them came to like Brookdale, Woodside, Blakelock, those schools. So it was nice because we couldn't travel to all those countries, but you guys always exposed us. So when we did meet someone who had a different background, I just felt like we understood them a little, like we had something common to talk about. Yeah. And
it's interesting to hear about their lives and their parents, how they lived. And so on.
That's right. Yeah.
So there you are.
Oh, it's amazing. What else, Mama? Did we forget anything?
No.
Now, what I do want to do is a special treat for you. Your flower girl's watching. One of your flower girls are watching right now.
Oh.
So my mom had these two beautiful girls as flower girls. They were her first babies. And Lynn says, you were always a great storyteller to this. So this project should be amazing.
Oh.
Isn't that nice? Yeah. And there's lots of nice there's lots of nice comments here. Such lovely memories. Happy birthday to your mom. Footprints of love all around the world. Sounds like Monica needs to retrace her parents' adventure once it's safe to globetrot. Yes, I would love that. And Lynn saying hi again. Yeah.
Lynn, you're in that project too, you and Sonia.
Wow. How are they in it?
Because their parents, wait a minute. Yeah. Sure they were.
Yeah, because you were friends with their parents through that youth group, right?
I mean, they were flower girls when I got married. Yeah. And then 2 years later, we went on this trip. So obviously they were.
Yeah. You had to say goodbye to them for a little bit. Yeah. When you took off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is great. Thank you guys so much for watching. Mom and I are going to continue our, well, we're just going to have this one glass. Tonight we'll celebrate some more. But thank you very much for tuning in. I hope we covered all of the spots, and I'm going to keep you apprised as to how my mom is making out with her big project. Maybe I could do a blog to give them a little sense of maybe even just one chapter of the trip.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
We'll see. But I'm so happy for those of you who don't know my mom, that you got to meet my mom, and now you get a little more understanding as to why I do what I do, and to have influence by this amazing woman.
I'm so glad I'm in her bubble.
Yeah, and look, we're in each other's bubble. I do not see anybody, so sorry if I offend you, but I really want to be with my mama. So have a great day, everybody, and join us now, because we are going to take a little break, and then we're going to go live on Instagram for an after party. So we'll see you there. Thank you.